Jeff Bezos was handcuffed aboard his own $500 million yacht, while FBI agents accused him of selling American secrets to Russian intelligence. But what they didn't know was that his fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, had just accidentally photographed the largest foreign spy operation in U.S. waters since the Cold War. The world's second richest man found himself facing treason charges while the real enemy submarines lurked just miles away, completely undetected by the same federal agents who were convinced that America's most successful entrepreneur had somehow become a traitor to his own country. It had started as the perfect romantic getaway for Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez aboard their magnificent yacht Kourou in the crystal-clear waters off the Florida Keys. The 417-foot sailing yacht, one of the most advanced private vessels ever built, was equipped with state-of-the-art navigation systems, satellite communications, and security technology that rivaled many military installations. For Jeff and Lauren, it represented the ultimate escape from their incredibly public lives, a floating sanctuary where they could enjoy each other's company away from paparazzi and business pressures. Lauren Sanchez, a former television anchor and accomplished pilot, had been documenting their vacation with her professional-grade camera equipment. As someone who had built a successful career in media and aviation, she had an eye for compelling images and interesting angles. On this particular morning, she was capturing the stunning sunrise over the Atlantic, experimenting with different telephoto lenses to get shots of distant fishing boats and the occasional cargo ship passing through the busy shipping lanes. What Lauren didn't realize as she snapped hundreds of photos was that her high-resolution images were capturing far more than scenic ocean views. Her powerful telephoto lens was inadvertently documenting the movements of several vessels that appeared to be fishing boats, but were actually sophisticated Russian intelligence-gathering ships, positioned strategically to intercept American military communications and monitor naval operations from the nearby Key West Naval Air Station. The trouble began when Jeff decided to test the yacht's new satellite internet system by uploading some of Lauren's photos to a secure cloud server. The images were automatically processed by facial recognition and object identification software that flagged unusual patterns in the maritime traffic Lauren had photographed. Within hours, these digital signatures had triggered alerts in multiple government databases, setting off a chain of events that would soon bring the full weight of federal law enforcement crashing down on their peaceful vacation. FBI agent Sarah Morrison was reviewing routine intelligence reports at the Miami field office when she received an urgent alert about suspicious photographic surveillance detected in sensitive waters near military installations. The images had been taken from the Bezos yacht and showed detailed documentation of vessel movements in areas where foreign intelligence services were known to operate. To Agent Morrison, the evidence seemed clear. Someone aboard that yacht was conducting reconnaissance for a foreign power. "Agent Morrison, you need to see this immediately," her colleague Agent David Kim said, bursting into her office with a thick folder of printed photographs and technical analysis. "We've got high-resolution surveillance photos taken from the Bezos yacht showing systematic documentation of all maritime traffic in the area. The detail level suggests professional intelligence gathering equipment, and the positioning indicates knowledge of our naval patrol schedules." Agent Morrison studied the images with growing alarm. The photos showed an almost scientific level of documentation, timestamps, GPS coordinates, and multiple angles of various vessels that could potentially be used to map American naval operations. More concerning, the photos had been uploaded to multiple servers using encryption protocols that suggested an attempt to hide their distribution. "David, this looks like textbook espionage documentation," she said grimly. "We need to move on this immediately." What neither agent realized was that the professional intelligence gathering equipment was simply Lauren's expensive camera gear. The systematic documentation was her artistic attempt to capture the busy maritime environment, and the encryption protocols were just the standard security measures that automatically protected any data transmitted from Bezos's heavily secured yacht. Their interpretation of innocent vacation photography as evidence of treason would soon lead to one of the most embarrassing mistakes in FBI history. At 6:47 a.m. the next morning, Jeff and Lauren were enjoying coffee on the yacht's main deck when they spotted several high-speed boats approaching from different directions. "Jeff, those boats are moving really fast," Lauren observed, lowering her camera from photographing the morning light. "And they're all heading straight for us." Within minutes, it became clear that their romantic getaway was about to become something very different as federal agents surrounded their yacht with weapons drawn. "This is the FBI," Agent Morrison announced through a bullhorn as tactical teams boarded the Koru from multiple directions. "Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, you are under investigation for espionage and conspiracy against the United States. Remain where you are and keep your hands visible." The billionaire and his fiancée stood frozen in shock as armed agents swarmed across their yacht, treating them like dangerous international criminals. Agent Morrison approached Jeff with handcuffs ready, her expression grim with the weight of what she believed was a major national security case. "Mr. Bezos, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit espionage, transmission of classified information to foreign agents, and violation of the Espionage Act. You have the right to remain silent." Jeff's face went pale with disbelief. "Agent Morrison, there's been some kind of terrible mistake. I'm not a spy. I'm one of America's biggest taxpayers and employers." But Agent Morrison wasn't listening to what she perceived as desperate lies from a caught traitor. "Mr. Bezos, we have extensive photographic evidence showing systematic surveillance of American naval operations conducted from this yacht. These images were then transmitted using sophisticated encryption to multiple overseas servers. The evidence against you is overwhelming." She gestured toward Lauren. "Ms. Sanchez, as the photographer who documented these operations, you're also under arrest as a co-conspirator." Lauren stepped forward, her journalistic instincts kicking in despite the surreal situation. "Agent Morrison, I think you've misunderstood what my photographs show. I was taking pictures of the sunrise, the ocean, the boats, just regular vacation photos. I'm happy to show you my camera and explain exactly what I was doing." But the FBI agent was convinced she was dealing with sophisticated operatives who would naturally try to minimize their activities. "Ms. Sanchez, professional surveillance operatives always have cover stories," Agent Morrison replied coldly. "The technical analysis of your photographs shows deliberate documentation of vessel movements, timing of naval patrols, and systematic mapping of our defensive positions. This isn't amateur photography. This is professional intelligence gathering." The accusation hung in the air like a death sentence, threatening to destroy both their reputations and their freedom. As Jeff and Lauren were led away in handcuffs, Agent Kim began his systematic search of the yacht, looking for additional evidence of espionage activities. What he found instead was a floating palace equipped with legitimate business technology, personal entertainment systems, and Lauren's extensive collection of photography equipment. Nothing suggested spy activities, but everything could potentially be interpreted as supporting a sophisticated cover operation. "Morrison, this doesn't feel right." Agent Kim radioed to his partner as he examined Lauren's camera equipment. "These are professional photography tools, but they're exactly what you'd expect a media professional to own. The yacht's communication systems are sophisticated, but they're all commercially available technology. I'm not finding any actual spy equipment or classified materials." But Morrison was convinced they were dealing with extremely sophisticated operators who wouldn't leave obvious evidence lying around. Meanwhile, news of Jeff Bezos' arrest for espionage was spreading rapidly through government and media circles. The story was so shocking that many officials initially refused to believe it. How could America's most successful entrepreneur, someone who had built his fortune entirely within the U.S. system, suddenly become a traitor working for foreign intelligence services? The implications were staggering for national security and public confidence. Back at FBI headquarters in Miami, Agent Morrison was presenting her case to Assistant Director Robert Hayes, confident that she had uncovered a major victory against foreign intelligence operations. "Sir, the evidence is conclusive," she said, displaying Lauren's photographs on a large screen. Systematic surveillance of naval operations, professional-grade documentation, and encrypted transmission to overseas servers. The Bezos yacht was clearly being used as a mobile surveillance platform. But Assistant Director Hayes, who had 30 years of experience in counterintelligence, was studying the images with growing skepticism. "Agent Morrison, these photographs show a lot of maritime traffic, but I'm not seeing evidence of systematic surveillance. They look more like someone taking pictures of boats from different angles and times of day. Where's the analysis showing coordination with known foreign agents? Where are the classified naval positions that were supposedly compromised?" Agent Morrison pulled up her technical analysis, pointing to timestamps and GPS coordinates embedded in the image files. "Sir, look at this pattern. Photos taken every morning and evening, documenting the same shipping lanes, tracking vessel movements over multiple days. This shows premeditation and systematic intelligence gathering." But Hayes was beginning to see a different pattern. The random artistic documentation of someone who simply enjoyed photographing the ocean environment. "Morrison, has anyone actually examined these vessels that were supposedly being surveilled?" Hayes asked. "Do we have confirmation that any of them are connected to foreign intelligence? Have we verified that any classified information was actually captured in these images?" The questions exposed the fundamental weakness in the case. The FBI had assumed espionage without actually proving that any secrets had been compromised or that foreign agents were involved. While the FBI was debating the strength of their case, Lauren Sanchez was using her one phone call to contact her former colleagues at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. As a professional journalist, she knew that the best defense against false accusations was to get accurate information into the public record as quickly as possible. "Mike, this is Lauren Sanchez. I need you to listen carefully because I don't have much time. Jeff and I have been arrested for espionage, but it's based on a complete misunderstanding of my vacation photographs." Her call to the newsroom set off a chain reaction that would soon turn the tide of the entire investigation. Within an hour, experienced journalists were analyzing the technical aspects of the FBI's case and consulting with maritime experts, photography professionals, and intelligence analysts. What they discovered would expose the federal government's embarrassing mistake and vindicate Jeff and Lauren completely. Dr. James Patterson, a maritime security expert at the University of Miami, was one of the first professionals to review Lauren's photographs when they were leaked to the media. "These images show completely normal civilian maritime traffic," he told CNN in a live interview. "There's nothing in these photos that suggests intelligence gathering. They're artistic documentation of a busy shipping lane. Exactly what you'd expect from a professional photographer on vacation in one of America's most trafficked waterways." But the most damaging revelation came when cybersecurity experts examined the sophisticated encryption that had convinced the FBI they were dealing with foreign agents. Tech analyst Rebecca Chen discovered that the encryption was simply the standard security protocols automatically applied to all data transmitted from Bezos's yacht. "This isn't spy technology," she explained to reporters. "This is just normal cybersecurity that any business executive would use to protect their personal communications." Meanwhile, back in the FBI interrogation room, Jeff Bezos was calmly and methodically dismantling every aspect of the case against him. Agent Morrison, I understand your concern about national security, but I think you've made some fundamental errors in your analysis. First, Lauren is a professional photographer who documents everything we do. Second, my yacht's communication systems are commercially available technology, not spy equipment. Third, I have absolutely no motive to spy for foreign governments when I'm already one of America's most successful citizens. Agent Morrison was growing increasingly uncomfortable as Jeff's logical responses exposed the weaknesses in her case. More troubling, she was receiving urgent messages from headquarters ordering her to slow down the interrogation while higher-level officials reviewed the evidence. Mr. Bezos, regardless of your explanations, we have photographic evidence of surveillance activities conducted from your yacht in sensitive waters near military installations. Agent Morrison, Jeff replied patiently, I'd like to propose a simple test of your theory. You believe Lauren's photographs show espionage activities. I believe they show vacation documentation. Why don't we have independent maritime experts examine the images and determine whether they actually contain any sensitive information or show evidence of intelligence gathering? If I'm wrong, I'll plead guilty. If you're wrong, I expect a full apology and investigation into how this mistake happened. The suggestion terrified Agent Morrison because she was beginning to realize that her case might not be as solid as she had initially believed. But before she could respond, Assistant Director Hayes burst into the interrogation room with news that would change everything. Morrison, we need to talk immediately. We've just discovered something that completely changes this investigation. The look on his face suggested that the FBI was about to face a major embarrassment. What Hayes had discovered would vindicate Jeff and Lauren, while exposing a genuine threat that the FBI had completely missed. While analyzing Lauren's photographs more carefully, intelligence analysts had noticed something in the background of several images that the original investigators had overlooked. Hidden among the legitimate maritime traffic were several vessels that appeared to be disguised surveillance ships, but they weren't connected to Jeff and Lauren. They were actual Russian intelligence assets conducting real espionage operations. Morrison, Ms. Sanchez's photographs accidentally documented genuine Russian spy ships conducting surveillance of our naval operations, Hayes explained urgently. But instead of recognizing her as an inadvertent witness to foreign intelligence activities, we arrested her as a spy. We've been interrogating the people who discovered evidence of the real threat, while the actual enemy agents continued their operations undetected. The revelation was so embarrassing that it immediately elevated the case to the highest levels of the FBI and Department of Justice. Not only had federal agents falsely accused one of America's most prominent citizens of treason, but their mistake had actually helped foreign intelligence services by distracting attention from genuine espionage activities. The situation was a counterintelligence disaster of epic proportions. Within hours, Jeff and Lauren were released with full apologies from the FBI, while naval intelligence and Coast Guard units were scrambling to locate and monitor the actual Russian vessels that Lauren had unknowingly photographed. Her vacation pictures had accidentally provided American intelligence with some of the best documentation of foreign spy operations in U.S. waters in decades, making her an inadvertent national security asset rather than a threat. Agent Morrison found herself in the humiliating position of personally apologizing to Jeff Bezos, while simultaneously asking for his cooperation in using his yacht's advanced technology to help track the real Russian spy ships. Mr. Bezos, I owe you and Ms. Sanchez the deepest apology possible. We made serious errors in our analysis, and I understand if you never want to cooperate with law enforcement again. However, your yacht's capabilities could be invaluable in helping us monitor these genuine threats. Jeff's response demonstrated the grace and patriotism that had made him successful in business and respected in society. "Agent Morrison, I understand that you were trying to protect national security, and I appreciate that your intentions were good even though your analysis was wrong. Of course, we'll help you track down actual foreign agents. That's what good Americans do when their country faces real threats." His willingness to help despite being falsely accused impressed even his harshest critics. Lauren's photographs became the foundation for a massive counterintelligence operation that ultimately led to the identification and monitoring of an entire Russian spy network operating in American waters. Her accidental documentation provided intelligence agencies with detailed information about foreign surveillance capabilities, operational patterns, and technological capabilities that had previously been unknown to American authorities. The Russian spy ships that Lauren had unknowingly photographed were part of a sophisticated operation to monitor American naval exercises, track submarine movements, and intercept military communications. The intelligence they were gathering was being transmitted to Moscow in real time, providing Russia with unprecedented insight into American naval capabilities and defensive strategies. Without Lauren's accidental photography, this operation might have continued undetected for years. 3 weeks after their arrest, Jeff and Lauren received a personal apology from FBI Director Christopher Wray, who acknowledged that the Bureau had made serious errors in analysis and judgment that led to their false accusations. More importantly, they were invited to a classified briefing where they learned how Lauren's photographs had helped expose and ultimately shut down a major foreign intelligence operation that posed genuine threats to American national security. The case became a major embarrassment for the FBI and led to significant reforms in how the Bureau analyzes potential espionage cases. New protocols were implemented requiring multiple levels of review before any espionage charges could be filed, and investigators were required to seek expert consultation before interpreting technical evidence like photographic surveillance or communication intercepts. For Jeff and Lauren, the experience strengthened their relationship and deepened their appreciation for both the importance of national security and the dangers of government overreach. They used the media attention from their false arrest to advocate for better oversight of federal law enforcement and stronger protections for citizens who might be wrongly accused of serious crimes. The Russian spy network that Lauren accidentally exposed was ultimately rolled up in a coordinated operation involving the FBI, Navy Intelligence, and Coast Guard. 12 foreign agents were expelled from the United States, and several sophisticated spy ships were forced to leave American waters. The operation was considered one of the most successful counterintelligence victories in recent years, made possible entirely by Lauren's vacation photography. 6 months later, Jeff and Lauren were quietly awarded civilian commendations by the Department of Defense for their inadvertent contribution to national security. The ceremony was classified, but they were told that Lauren's photographs had provided intelligence that helped protect American naval operations and potentially saved lives by exposing foreign surveillance activities. Agent Morrison, meanwhile, was reassigned to white-collar crime investigations after the espionage case disaster. She later acknowledged in internal FBI reviews that her eagerness to uncover a major spy operation had led her to see evidence of espionage where none existed, while missing actual foreign intelligence activities that were happening in plain sight. The yacht Kourou was eventually equipped with additional communication systems that allowed Jeff and Lauren to serve as unofficial eyes and ears for American intelligence agencies during their travels in international waters. Their unique position as wealthy Americans with sophisticated technology and global mobility made them valuable allies in detecting potential threats to national security. Today, the story of Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's false espionage arrest is taught in FBI training academies as an example of how preconceptions and rushed analysis can lead to devastating mistakes. It serves as a reminder that effective counterintelligence requires careful analysis, multiple perspectives, and healthy skepticism about initial conclusions, no matter how compelling they might appear. The case also highlighted the important role that ordinary citizens can play in national security, even when they don't realize they're helping. Lauren's vacation photographs, taken for purely personal reasons, ultimately provided more valuable intelligence than years of professional surveillance operations. Her accidental contribution to exposing foreign spies proved that patriotism and national service can take many unexpected forms, and that sometimes the best intelligence comes from the most unlikely sources.